you might be looking at making the switch to the CSL DD, or you've already got one on order, or you might be looking to jump even further up the ecosystem to a DD or DD2. And you're looking at the Fanatec steering wheel range, and you're kind of thinking, why on earth are those steering wheels so expensive compared to what's already on the market from Thrustmaster and other brands? So, what I'm wanting to go through in this video is just my experiences so far, having made the upgrade, and comparing just two of my favorite Thrustmaster wheels that I've been using for quite some time up till now to the well, not direct equivalents, but what I chose to replace them with in the Fanatec range. So, starting off with the Sparco R383 Rally Mod wheel, um, it is an excellent wheel. Let's not get anything mistaken about that. The Sparco is built to basically reproduce the actual Sparco R383 quite closely. And looking at its construction, we can see that the wheel face itself and the rim made from good quality metal. We can see there's a sort of brushed aluminium effect on there. It's not an exact 100% replica of the R383, but very, very close. Certainly, dimensions are the same, and overall profile is the same. When we get to the wrap on the wheel rim itself, it's Alcantara-like. I don't think it actually is Alcantara, but it's a suede and definitely feels good underhand. In terms of wheel furniture, there's not much in the way. There's nothing in the way of displays or readouts or anything like that. But you do have a useful button box with one control stick and more buttons than you're generally going to need for most circumstances. Certainly driving road or rally, it will cater to most situations just fine. Looking at the button box, though, is where we do start to see some of the cost-saving measures you see on the Thrustmaster wheel in comparison to the Fanatec, where it's a carbon fibre effect, but it is in fact plastic. When we go around to the back of the wheel, that's where we really do see some marked differences between the Thrustmaster wheel and the Fanatec wheel. So you do have two pretty good shifters. They're spring loaded, but not a very snappy action. Quite a lot of travel. They are adjustable, so you've got two positions that you can set each of them to. But there's nothing in the way of magnetics or anything like that to improve the shift action. The actual back of the wheel is mostly of a reasonable grade plastic. It's the same plastic for the back of the wheel as it is for the Thrustmaster quick release. And if you've had any experience with the Thrustmaster quick release, you know that it's reasonably quick. You're looking at about a minute to change wheels, and it's not perfect. Tightening the locking hub on the wheel base doesn't always result in a perfect connection. And the method you use to actually tighten the connection is to use a destructive screw on the hub that then eats into the plastic on the back. And so, if we can have a look at the hub there, the quick release on the wheel itself, we can see, just trying to find it, can see there a bit of the effect of the screw used to fasten it. And whilst there's more than enough meat in the plastic there that you'd be able to do that for years and years and years without affecting the product, it is a shame that it is a destructive method used to fasten the wheel. But in general, I am a big fan of the Sparco wheel. It's about $300 or $400 Australian, and it's compared to the wheel that you get in the box. Even if you do go the Ferrari Integrale, which is a nice wheel, and I've got that, but for rally and just for general use, I prefer this wheel. It's quite good, and it's got a good bit of weight to it. So the wheel I chose to replace it was the Porsche RSR wheel, the 918 replica, and it is officially licensed, as we can see from Porsche, with the quite realistic looking Porsche badge there. The wheel itself is based exactly off the design of the 918 wheel, and we can see very similar materials used in the construction. So the wheel face itself is automotive grade steel with a sort of powder coat, and as we get through the wheel hub, the wheel rim itself, that same stiff metal is used. One big change going to the Fanatec wheel is that you've got vibration motors mounted into the wheel rim, and if you were attracted by the idea of the True Force, it's very much the same sort of effect. It's not essential by any means, but it is welcome. Having used it, you can configure it whether it's for reproducing engine vibration or surface vibration. You can also set it to pulse if your wheels are locking up and things like that. So it's a handy feature, but not essential. In terms of the additional features of the wheel, you've got the speed counter on the wheel face itself, and you've got the rev lights mounted at the top of the rim. The wheel rim is coated in hand stitch leather, which is lovely under the hand. It gives a really good grip, and it will sort of wear a little better than the suede that's on the R383. The button box, you start to see differences between the Fanatec and the Thrustmaster straight away. So the facing on the button box is carbon fiber. It's not thick. I don't know if it really shows up on camera, but it's about a 2mm plate of carbon fiber, but it is real carbon fiber, and the buttons have a bit more of a positive action. The sticks, you've got two sticks on the Fanatec wheel. You've got the analog stick under the left thumb and the multi-directional switch with the funky switch that's called by Fanatec on the right thumb. And just generally the wheels have a bit more of a positive action. They also support the button plate package that's available for Fanatec products, so you can put custom plates on there as well if you feel the inclination. Going to the back of the wheel, we can see that it is a higher grade of plastic used for the back of the wheel itself, and the shifters have also a sort of levered action, spring-loaded action. It's quite a short travel, but feels very chunky. And not only can you adjust not only are there 3 positions to adjust the shifters in and out, but there's spaces, and you can mount them backwards or forwards, so you can bring them closer or further away from your fingertips. Overall, a very, very solid product. You can definitely see that it's made to automotive standard or very close to automotive standard. The quick release on Fanatec is better. It uses a true quick release, so you can change wheels within 30 seconds. There's no play in this particular one, the sort of left-right play you might see on some videos, but that might change over time. One downside for this particular model is it predates the quick release 2, so I don't know what's going to happen when that hits the market, if there will be a way to hack the quick release 2 into the wheel or not. It really would be a shame to sell this, because the replacement wheel looks good but does omit the Porsche license and the vibration motor, so it's a slightly lower function wheel. Now, pricing wise, you're looking at about double what the Thrustmaster wheel costs, so you're looking at about $500 or $600 Australian compared to the $3 or $4 for the Thrustmaster product, but definitely something which is a bit harder wearing. Now, it is not the direct equivalent to the Thrustmaster wheel. You can buy the WRC licensed wheel, and that is pretty much the same price as the Sparco wheel, and probably, I haven't had hands-on with that, but it does seem to be about the same sort of construction and build quality. So that is your direct alternative, but if you do want to pay that little bit extra to go up the range, certainly, I certainly can see the value in going further up. Now, onto the Formula and GT style wheels. I don't have the Scuderia Formula 1 Thrustmaster wheel. I've been using the older Formula 1 wheel, Ferrari Formula 1 wheel from Thrustmaster, which I really, really like. It has been maligned because it has the fake aluminium faceplate with the not the fake aluminium. The aluminium faceplate's real, but the fake dials that are stamped onto the faceplate. That does give it a little bit of a toy-like look. But honestly, in terms of game functionality, whilst it would be nice if they were real dials, and that's where the Scuderia Formula One version has you covered if that's what you desperately crave. There's still enough functionality in the wheel that I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it, especially at the price I paid. So typical retail was around 300 Australian. There have been some specials which have brought it below that, and at that price it's a steal if you can still get your hands on it. Now, in terms of fit out, you've got it's got the aluminium faceplate, and most of its construction is plastic, but it's quite a hard wearing plastic. It feels solid enough. You've got rubber hand grips, which they don't feel especially premium, but again, they do the job and they keep the price down. Now, in terms of furniture, you've got quite a lot of buttons. So you've got 4 buttons to each side. You've got 2 thumb encoders, and you've got 2 multi-directional sticks and 3 2-position switches as well. So for playing Assetto Corsa, racing in GT3 class, more than enough controls. Might be a little bit awkward if you're playing Formula One, but it is designed to be used for Formula One, so should do most of the work, just maybe not everything. Looking around to the back of the wheel, again we can see it is very heavily plastic in construction, but it's a thick, solid sort of plastic with a bit of a patterned design into it. You've got the bi-directional shifters, so they can go push or pull, and they're spring-loaded. They don't travel all that far, which means that they do have quite a quick, solid shift. I've never had a missed shift with this wheel, but it's not quite as good as some of the really solid contact that you get from a magnetic shifter. It does have the Thrustmaster quick release, which is, again, that destructive plastic, and you can see the damage that's been done over time on the base of the wheel there. Not the ideal solution, and long term is going to be a wear point for the wheel, but it gets the job done, and at the price that you're paying for it, tremendous value. But in comparison to the Formula V2 that I've got, which is being phased out for the Formula V2 .5, biggest difference being the change in the shifters. Now, my Formula V2, I have bought the advanced paddle module for, so it is very close to functionality, or in fact better functionality than the V2.5. So in terms of construction, you have a 5mm thick carbon fibre faceplate, so that gives it that solid rigidity but keeps the weight down. You have vibration motors in the rim, and the hand grips are Alcantara. The furniture on the wheel, you have rev lights, you've got flag lights, can't say that, rev lights, flag lights, and an LCD display. So adjusting wheel and hub functions on the fly are really, really simple. You have 2 encoders that are game controllable in the face, as well as 2 thumb encoders. And the face encoders can be set to specific functions, so they're not just left and right, but are actual, if you set it to one, it switches to one, and so on. The middle encoder is not game configurable. That one is used for adjusting the paddle functions on the back, but it is a nice quick way to change that feature as well. You have 2 toggle switches, so one less than the Thrustmaster wheel, and you have a comparable amount of push switches, so 3 at the top of the rim and 3 at the bottom, 3 for each thumb at the top of the rim, 3 at the bottom, and 1 within reach of each thumb near the sticks. The sticks, you've got your analog stick and your funky switch as well. And overall, the feel and construction, very solid, very rigid. When we flip around to the back of the wheel, we see automotive grade plastic. So again, a slightly nicer plastics used on the back, nice and thick. And with the advanced paddle module, we have rare earth magnet shifters, which have very short throw and very solid chunky action. The shifters that come in the box are quite good. They're all metal construction and spring loaded, so they have a similar amount of travel to the Formula One wheel from Thrustmaster, but just that next level of solidness, a little bit more chunky. The quick release is the quick release 1, and I have seen a tiny amount of left and right play on my rim. It is something that's been commented on and will be improved with the Quick Release 2. And being the Formula V2, it is designed to be easily switched to the Quick Release 2 when that comes out. Overall, though, in terms of build quality and construction, it's a much more solid wheel. You can feel it in the weight and heft of the wheel, but also the experience of using it and the furniture that it comes with. Now, overall, I do have a couple of little niggles with the Fanatec gear. So on the Porsche wheel, the thumb rests for the Porsche wheel are probably a little tight, can be a little uncomfortable, but that's a more of a niggle than anything. And also there is a little bit of play at the top, so if you're doing rally and you're sort of gripping it around the rev lights, there can be a little bit of flex in the wheel rim, but not an amount that I'd be concerned about. With the Formula wheel, they have used destructive screws, and if you watch Barry's video, Sim Racing Garage, these two screws here fasten into the hatch on the bottom of the wheel, and this is held in place with destructive plastic, destructive screws which eat into the plastic, and one of those has caused a bit of damage when I was switching out the paddles, and so not super happy about that. That's a strange decision to use destructive screws on any plastic component, but I'm sure Fanatec will replace that part. I just need to reach out to them. It's it's a cheap bit of plastic, and I've been able to secure it back into place. So even if they won't replace it, I'm not too stressed about it. I will never need to take that hatch off again because I've already got the paddle module installed and it's not loose or anything like that. So, in summary, is it worth spending the money to go up a class in Fanatec gear? I believe so. Having used, starting off with Logitech gear, which is great for the price, but obviously, entry level. Transitioning to Thrustmaster gear. Thrustmaster has been really impressive and really fun to use. Everything they make is well built, and even after years of use, they feel as good as when I bought them. But when you're switching from there to Fanatec, yes, you can stay in the same bracket and category by going for the CSL range, and there's nothing wrong there. I think those wheels, if you look at reviews, they seem to have quite a positive reaction. The McLaren GT3 wheel especially looks like a fantastic buy, as it, in terms of functionality, well, sure, it doesn't have the build quality of the Formula wheel, but it approaches it in functionality with the sheer number of controls available on it. But when you spend that bit extra to go to the Clubsport range, you are starting to see wheels that are at, if not actual automotive grade, very, very close to, but not spending the thousands, 1,500, 2,000 that you might spend on full-blown race gear. And that might, buying that gear might be an attraction for people who are right at the top end. You just need to go to the sim racing subreddit to see people who'll tell you that anyone who buys anything other than SimuCube or VRS is making a horrible mistake. But for buying into the Fanatec ecosystem, the wheels themselves don't feel cheap. They have excellent build quality, and it'll be interesting to see how they go long term. But certainly, initial reactions are really, really good. So I hope that's been interesting. I hope that's useful for people who are trying to make the decision about what to buy. This is sort of the sequel to what wheels am I buying, and for the most part I've stuck to that. What I will like to be doing long term, well, first of all, I haven't done a proper impressions video of the DD2, so that's coming. I've finally got all my settings where I want them to be, and it's just a matter of getting some race footage together. And obviously, long term, I'll be reporting on how these wheels are handling and that sort of thing. And it'll be interesting to see if I can mount the QR2 on the Porsche wheel. That's the thing that's sort of eating away at me. But we shall see. Alrighty, so thank you for watching. I hope this was of some value.